Australian paramedics respond to more than 9,000 calls for help every day.
We've got at least 2 patients down.
Working around the clock.
Twist slowly.
Oh, see, here we go.
By the side of a busy train track, Dodsey and Karina have just arrived at a chaotic crash site.
He's kicked the steering wheel. He's got a large contusion on the front of his head.
2 off-duty nurses and a bystander pulled the driver from his ute after he slammed into a pole.
It appeared he's put his head through the windscreen.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a massive star pattern in the screen.
Do you know what day it is, mate?
The barely conscious driver is bleeding heavily from his head
Yeah, I reckon he's got 0 blood pressure.
Absolutely.
and could have suffered internal injuries from the impact of the crash.
I'm just going to put a drip in your arm, mate. Sharp out.
His chest could have came in contact with the steering wheel, so he could have fractures in his ribs, he could have collapsed lungs. We know that his abdominal area or his tummy's hit that steering wheel hard, so he could have bleeds and tears in there. He could also be having a bleed inside of his brain. Any one of these single injuries can lead to him dying, but all of these in combination increase the risk tenfold.
Just draw up whatever drugs, set up some airway gear. Hang on, my guys are here. I'll get these guys to help me get him up onto a bed now. We need to get him up on RSI, he's dropping his bundles.
So by saying he's dropping his bundle, this means that his conscious state's starting to wane, his heart rate's going up and his blood pressure's going all over the place.
You go and draw up your drugs, though. We want him in the back now. We'll just get him in the back.
That tells us that there's something going on inside of his brain.
Checkmate, service.
OK, you don't let go of his head.
All right, so he's going to get ketamine and sucks. He's got to weigh 80 kilos. He's a pretty solid young bloke.
These sort of head injuries, if they're untreated, unfortunately, can cause massive brain injuries and even death.
He's not well. OK, let's all take a breath now. Can I just make sure that I have everything that I need there?
Mobile intensive care paramedics Dodsey and Karina are battling to save the life of a driver who crashed his ute into a pole.
The right side of his guts is like a rock.
Yeah, that's a massive impact.
The man is showing signs of a deadly brain injury and urgently needs to be put into an induced coma.
If we don't put this young bloke to sleep, then the swelling in his brain is going to lead him down the pathway of dying.
Is there any reason why we shouldn't intubate this kid?
Absolutely not.
He's got a head injury. He's put his head through the windscreen. OK, let's do it.
Putting people in an induced coma is one of the more risky and invasive procedures that we do as microparamedics.
Sats are still 100. Heart rate's still 96.
Just trying to feed that through.
I need to make sure that everybody understands what their role's going to be so that we don't make any mistakes.
Can you just release your pressure a little bit?
If Dodsey doesn't get the tube placement right, his patient could quickly develop critically low oxygen levels and go into cardiac arrest.
Let's move that. 10 mils. Can I remove that, please? Can I have the 10 mil syringe, please? Can we check for waveform, please?
Waveform confirmed.
Good.
Good air entry on the right.
Fantastic. Thank you. Grade 1.
Good air entry on the left.
There you go.
Sedation started.
That's fine.
With Dodsey now controlling the driver's breathing, he's ready to be transported to hospital.
Anything you need to know before we kick off?
It's all right with you. One of us will ride with you.
100%. I'll have to put one of you in the front, though.
That's fine.
OK?
Thank you.
Excellent.
So police have informed us that he might have been drinking tonight, so it's important for one of them to come with us to the hospital because there's bloods that need to be taken. I need to focus now. We're doing everything we can to make sure that there's no brain damage to this young fella on the way to hospital, but there are no guarantees.
We're just standing up at the moment, Mia. Nice and cruisy.
With the help of a police escort, Dodsey and Karina are urgently transferring their critically ill patient to hospital.
How far up is the smack on his head?
Well, the smack's here. Middle of forehead.
The man has been put into an induced coma after his head was badly injured when his ute hit a pole.
Oh, he's split completely.
So we put a breathing tube in. By doing this, this will help slow down the swelling in his brain to give him every opportunity of surviving.
Did we get an age, Matt?
A police officer is on board. Blood tests will be taken at the hospital to find out if the driver was over the legal alcohol limit.
Seriously, dude. You can't put brains into people, can you?
You can't, unfortunately,
No, he's young, I know, but God, mate, you could have killed yourself.
No, we're not out of the woods yet, are we?
I've got a young fella myself, and I know that he likes to have a couple of sherbs on a weekend with his mates. You know, I'm going to tell him about the things I see. I'm going to tell him about the death and darkness that this creates. And, you know, to think about his sister and think about his mum and think about other people.
Your mummy is going to be angry at you.
The heartbreaking part about this is a young man with his whole life ahead of him that, you know, through one bad choice could lead to bad outcomes for the rest of his life.
And with the ambulance travelling at high speed, an unaware pedestrian comes close to causing more carnage.
What is with that? That's like the third person that has walked out in front of an ambulance, lights and sirens.
We'll just bring that blanket right up over him.
And we can't do much else for him at this point.
I hope this young fella comes out of this well. I hope he comes out of it for his family. I hope he comes out of it for his friends. But I hope that at the end of this, should it all go well, that he learns his lesson.
Yeah.